Hello everyone and welcome to another Star Wars figure review. Today we're going to continue to take a look at some Build-A-Weapon 3 3/4 inch action figures, and in today's review we're going to take a look at this guy. This is none other than Tasu Leech, the leader of Kanjiklub. Now obviously this figure does appear in Star Wars The Force Awakens during that very cool scene on board Han Solo's freighter in which the Kanjiklub gang members and the Guavian enforcers confront Han Solo and all hell breaks loose once the Rathtars are released. Now I'm going to touch base on some trivia about this character in just a little bit, but before we do that, we are of course going to take a look at the packaging that Tasu Leech comes in. As you can see, we do once again get the standard Force Awakens packaging design with this figure. We've got Kylo Ren featured at the top of the card with the Force Awakens logo just off to the side, and then down below that we do have some very cool artwork of Tasu Leech in action. On the reverse side of the box we have a description of the character, a brief rundown of the Build-A-Weapon pieces that you can assemble when you collect other figures available in the space theme. And as you can see in this line we have the 5th Brother Inquisitor, who I've given you a look at previously, Tasu Leech himself, and Admiral Akbar, who I'll be giving you a look at in my next review. As I mentioned, this is the first series of figures from the Build-A-Weapon line that I've actually been able to complete, and I've assembled this Build-A-Weapon piece, so I'll give you a look at that in my next review. So onto the figure itself, and as I said, this guy is reasonably cool. I'll give you a look at the Build-A-Weapon piece first, and then we'll go into a little bit more detail about the figure. Once again, just a basic piece with this one, more of a blaster rifle more than anything else. As a standalone piece it's pretty boring, very simplistic, but I've got to say I do kind of like the completed piece from this space mission theme, and as I mentioned earlier, I'll give you a look at that in my final review from this theme. So there we go, that's the Build-A-Weapon piece. Now onto the figure itself, and here he is. Now, even though the character has very limited screen time in the film, the figure is a nice, faithful representation of what we see on screen. As I mentioned, I do have a little bit of trivia about this guy for you, and that is of course that the characters in the film, the Kanjiklub gang members, including Tasu Leech, are played by martial artists who appeared in the movie The Raid. Now, I haven't actually seen that movie, but I know a lot of people who have, and they've said, you know, the martial arts on show in that film are fantastic, and these guys were wasted in The Force Awakens. They really didn't do enough to show off their skill set, so I'm going to have to check that movie out for sure. As I said, they don't have a massive role in the film, just a brief confrontation with Han Solo on board their freighter. But in terms of action figure, you know, it's a faithful representation of the character. Pretty basic in terms of its design, but cool nonetheless. As you can see, the head sculpt is really well done. The paint is laid on a little bit thick, that kind of sucks out some of the detail in the sculpt. But the paint applications themselves are nice and crisp, so that's not to be sniffed at. Obviously Tasu Leech does feature some very cool, very oriental looking armour design on there, very samurai-ish. You can see there, very cool indeed. You've even got this sort of speckled glitter effect going on, which I'm assuming is meant to, you know, give the impression of some sort of battle damage or something, but it's nice that it's there nonetheless. We've also got this really cool fake leather texture on the lower tunic. Some decent detail rather in the legs as well. As you can see, just on the side of the leg we do have a holster for a blaster pistol, and like with Sidon Athano that I gave you a look at in a previous review, the blaster pistol is sculpted to the holster, which is a little bit of a shame, as it takes away one of the accessories that could have been included with the figure. In terms of accessories themselves, Tasu Leech does come with this rather primitive looking blaster rifle. As you can see, very minimal paint applications. Just get the camera to focus in on that for you. It's a bit blurry. Again, there's not a lot of detail really to pick up there on that weapon, but you get the general idea. It's a very basic rifle with what appears to be sort of a bayonet attached to the end. You can get a really good look at this weapon and some of the other weapons as well in the Force Awakens visual dictionary if you haven't checked that out, so I highly recommend that you do. In terms of articulation itself, this figure does feature a ball joint at the head. He features swivels at the shoulders and swivels at the hips. And overall it's, I don't know, I want to say it's a worthy addition to the collection, but unless you're planning on recreating that scene from The Force Awakens in which these guys confront Han Solo, it's not really a necessary pickup. For me personally, I chose to purchase this figure because I'm holding out on hope that we'll see the other Kanjiklub gang members released at some point down the line, and I really like the look of some of those guys. So obviously, if you're going to have Kanjiklub, then you need their leader, but I have my doubts that we'll see the rest of the gang released as figures, but don't tell that to Kanjiklub. Sorry, I had to sneak that in there. But yeah, a cool figure nonetheless. You know, I'll let you guys make up your own mind as to whether or not you want to purchase this one. It's a recommended figure. You know, as an action figure in itself, it's very cool. But as a character, it's probably one of those that you could afford to skip. As always, if you want to purchase this guy for yourself, there's a link down below in the video description where you can do so. And in the meantime, I hope you've enjoyed this review, and I'll be back with many more very soon. So until then, as always guys, thank you for watching, keep collecting, and may the Force be with you.